Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome Sunday FUNDAY SEC Football Recap Week 3 edition. I am Chris Phillips. He is Dave Shumate. He is Cole Thompson. And what a wild weekend it was in the SEC yet again. We had late game dramatics. We had referee controversies. We had coaches who it looks like the writing's on the wall for them on the way out. Might happen by the end of the day. We had a little bit of everything. We had blowouts. Again, we had nail biters, everything you can think of. And again, it's only week 3. Again, guys, appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. We are here on Sunday FUNDAY, breaking down, recapping, giving our immediate thoughts to everything that took place yesterday. Again, guys, I want to say thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get those. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. And do not forget to check out our friends over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is a proud sponsor and partner of SEC Unfiltered this football season, including the SEC Unfiltered Tour that's going to take us all around the SEC as I currently sit right now in Columbia, South Carolina. So again, go check out our friends, prizepicks.com, or download their app. Use promo code SECU at sign up to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 or more lineup. Guys, all you have to do is play that lineup. They're going to give you $50 whether you win or lose. So it's $50 free in your pocket over at prizepicks.com with promo code SECU. Again, we're breaking down everything week 3 of the SEC football season. I am Chris Phillips. Helping me do so, my good friends and colleagues, Dave Shumate and Cole Thompson. Fellas, how we feeling here on this Sunday morning?
Feeling good. I mean, I feel like we went into this weekend saying we're going to find out about really the mid-tier slate of the SEC with the games between South Carolina, LSU, and obviously with the other matchup at Texas A&M, Florida. I feel like we figured out a lot. Right, still a lot to learn. Obviously, we got the Billy Napier stuff going on. We figured out some stuff with Alabama. I was talking mid-tier teams, though they looked pretty good yesterday. We'll talk about them here in a little bit. Tennessee looked dominant, questionable onside kicking up 30 in the first quarter. I don't know what you got against the fighting Nick Sabans and Kent State, but interesting. I don't know. Maybe he had the minus 49 in the first half, Heupel, so that's why he was doing it. Other than that, though, I mean, Mississippi State, worse than we thought. I mean, CP called that one. Good shot. Good way to call your shot. I mean, that wasn't even close.
Listen, I don't love it for the Hail State folks, but what a pick. What a pick.
And it wasn't even ever in doubt. Mm-hmm. So, no, overall, we learned a lot. Next week, we have some other, key matchups, Arkansas, Auburn, but I thought this week was fun. It was a fun game. The South Carolina LSU game, a little sloppy, kind of more lost than won for both teams. But again, it's why we love college football and the reaction. Myself and Cole talked about it, just the momentum swings, the overcoming adversity by both teams is fun to watch. Again, things to clean up for both those teams. But, man, that was kind of the storyline that game that kind of carried the league. That was a fun game, but fantastic week 3.
I forgive you. I forgive you. I truly do forgive you. Fayetteville and Starkville for me telling you at the start of the season this was going to be the reality that you live with. I forgive you. It's okay. I'm not an anger person. I don't have hate in my heart. You have enough problems going on in what you got residing with your football teams. That's going to be a very brutal bowl game whenever you do play against each other. I forgive you. It's okay. I try to warn you, but I forgive you. I forgive you.
Yeah, we caught a lot of hell, boys, not to spend too much time on Mississippi State to kick things off. We'll get there a little bit later in the show, but we caught a lot of hell in the preseason for picking Mississippi State to go 4-8 and say they may not win a conference game. And guys, 4-8 is looking very, very kind.
Dude, 2-10.
It's looking kind.
4-8.
I don't mean to spend the first 5 minutes or so picking on the folks in Starkville, but woo, buddy, that is like you said, it was never in doubt. We'll get there a little bit later, of course. But again, guys, we had a jam-packed slate, lots to get into. And, of course, you guys did a great job, by the way. And, guys, if you're not following, again, the reason I say subscribe and turn on those bell notifications because our guys go live every single Saturday giving you immediate reactions to all the games that take place, or at least the biggest games today. You guys did an incredible job. Again, I can't say thank you enough, guys. And I saw the reaction. You guys went 40 minutes. I talked to Cole after the game, went 40 minutes talking South Carolina, LSU. There was so much to dissect, so much to break down. So I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible, but I want to give my thoughts because I haven't had the opportunity to do so. Being in the building, and this game had a little bit of everything, guys. And really quickly, as I take a sip out of my coffee that I'm sure some South Carolina folks wish they could spit in.
Oh, believe me.
when I say this game had a little bit of everything, I don't just mean in-game. Guys, I mean pre-game, right? We have everything that happened on the field. All of the controversies. Dave mentioned the sloppiness, the big plays, the blunders, if you will. We had College Game Day on hand. We had Pat McAfee throwing the word cock around like it's going out of style. The guy is just saying cock every other sentence just because he can. Then in pregame, we had a rumor start that I got jumped before the game. I didn't even mention this.
Show us the bruises, Chris. How you looking?
Show them.
Where is the black eye?
Where is the body?
I'm getting calls as Toe is meeting leather to start the game, checking in. Hey, man, are you okay? I'm just checking in. Are you all right? I'm like, my dad and I are at the game. Like, what do you mean? Am I okay? The game hasn't even started yet. Nothing bad has happened yet. Oh, there's a rumor going around. You got jumped on social media. So there was that. I don't even think I told you guys this, by the way. I forgot to mention this in the group chat. Guys, I got booed yesterday.
Yeah, you told me that.
I did tell you that. I didn't tell Dave that.
Who got booed louder yesterday? Chris Phillips at Williams-Brice Stadium or Billy Napier at Ben Hill?
Well, probably Billy. Probably Billy because there was
but not by much.
90. There were 90,000 booing him. But just picture this really quickly. I am crossing the street from Williams-Brice Stadium to go into Gamecock Park where College Game Day was. Another man, another human being, another individual is crossing the street simultaneously, probably 10 to 15 yards to my left. We make eye contact, and he looks me dead in the eye and just goes, "Boo! Leave! We don't want you here." I was like, I started laughing. I was like, I just got booed. Like, how many people can say they got booed? You know? So that was at like 9:30 in the morning, maybe something like that. So an incredible, and by the way, shout out to all the Gamecock folks. We felt an immense amount of love yesterday. It was awesome. I don't want to spend too much time. You guys will see the vlog. Probably one of the most epic in-stadium vlogs we'll make this season, guys, in regards to the in-game footage. I got the last field goal on the video. You guys will see all that. Anyways, getting to the game. I'm reflecting on some of the madness pregame. It was an incredible scene, guys. Again, Gamecock fans were awesome. I had a great – LSU fans were awesome, too. Mingled with a lot of LSU fans. They were feeling good before the game. But this game specifically, LSU wins 36-33. Guys, we throw around, man, that stadium was a madhouse. That stadium's going to be going crazy. Guys, when I tell you, I give a lot of credit to South Carolina for their in-game presentation, the way they roll out the hype videos. It goes right into Sandstorm. It goes right into the entrance. It goes right into kickoff and more Sandstorm. Like, that place was an insane asylum. Like, I'm not joking, right? Like, it was – the fan base showed up and showed out. But to the game specifically, let's tackle the issue at hand, which is the referees.
Yep.
Guys, I got to be totally transparent. I was stunned. When I got on social media after the game because for everything, by the way, Columbia is great at, traffic and service are two things they're not good at. So I cut off my phone for about 3/4 of that game because I was like, I'm just killing battery, going to have no service anyways. So I didn't get to see a lot of the in-game chatter and banter. But so when I got on social media post-game, I was stunned how many people were, of all the things that happened in that ball game, solely blaming the referees for that loss. And guys, I went back and watched the highlights because the two Garrett Nussmeier pick sixes that were wiped off the board, specifically the one that was called for the personal foul, unnecessary roughness, Kyle Kennard hits or blocks Garrett Nussmeier, that one's wiped off.
Completely
when I saw it,
if we're being honest.
When I saw it in person, guys, I immediately was like, that's a flag. You cannot deck the quarterback the way he did. Now, going back and watching the replay, I would not have minded no call there. I don't think the hit was – I think Garrett did a great job of selling it. I give Garrett Nussmeier a lot of credit. I would have been totally fine eating that flag because it was a lot more of a hand check. I think the thing that didn't help Kennard was immediately, guys, I mean, what drew my attention to it so much, I saw the block, but then Kennard just throws his hands up. It's like you're telling everybody you screwed up. Like, you messed up there, right? And again, give Nussmeier a lot of credit. I think he sold that. So that is one, admittedly, in person, I almost think it looked worse than it did when I went back and watched the replay. I'll give you that one. That one is really ticky-tack. But at the same time, guys, you know why the referee thing, I if the roles are reversed and it's Lenora Sellers taking the hit, South Carolina fans want that call. Let's just be honest. Let's call it for what it is. Okay, so that one
you're on. Yeah.
So that one I'll give you. The horse collar play. What is the debate here?
Yeah.
That was a textbook horse collar. He absolutely horse collared him. I can't even believe there are people on social media saying that's not a horse collar. It absolutely 110% was. Mm-hmm. The offensive pass interference, I'll give you that. That was bullshit. That was ticky-tack. There were some ticky-tack calls in this game. Guys, I'm saying all of this to say this. The referees are not why South Carolina lost this football game. And I'm just going to say this, and I don't give a damn who feels what type of way about it again, sipping out of my coffee that I'm sure some of you wish you could spit in. You know who complains about the refs and says the refs are the reason we lost? When you have a pick in the end zone, 2 fumbles in your own territory. When you have 2 blunders, end of half, end of game, where you should have came away with field goal, and you came away with nothing. When you throw 4 passes in the second half, you have no vertical threat because your starting quarterback went out. If you really want an excuse for why you lost, that's why. Lenora Sellers not playing the second half, that changed the entire game. But you had nothing in your backup quarterback in Robbie Ashford. You were scared shitless to call anything down the field with Robbie Ashford because you know his limitations. The people that make excuses with the refs and they solely blame the ref. The game was stolen. We got jobbed. Loser fans of loser programs do that. That's who does that. That's who makes that excuse. That's who pins the entire game on the referees. Were the referees shoddy? They were absolutely shoddy, guys. Were the referees bad? You could say they were bad. There were some bad calls. Again, that pick 6 with the one with the Garrett Nussmeier personal foul, I wouldn't have minded no flag there. I think that's ticky-tack. I think that's a little bit soft. But again, if roles are reversed, I think South Carolina wants that call. I think any other fan base wants that call if that play on their quarterback is happening. I think they're going to say, well, it was – and it on the field, guys, it looked blindside to me. That's why I thought they were going to call that. It was it was a blindside block. They called a blindside block on a – but I understand that. But they called a blindside block on a punt earlier in the game. I was like, this is kind of a very similar play to that. But, guys, you can blame the refs all you want, but you're deflecting from everything else that happened in the game. I go specifically, again, guys, into the first half, end of game. In the first half, you are in field goal range. You have 3 points in your back pocket, and you find a way to screw that up with some horrific play calling.
To go up 2 scores. Where you feel like LSU doesn't get the ball. LSU won that middle 8. They kind of backdoored the middle 8 on them.
To go up 2 scores. And then, guys, end of game. A baffling decision. When you've got 11 seconds and a timeout, you can run another play, try to gain 5 or 7 yards, get your kicker closer, and you said, nah, we're going to put it all on the kicker. Let the time run out, tick, 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 tick. Let it run out. We're going to take the time out here, and we're going to put it all on him. And guess what, guys? In college football, when you do that, you live or die with your kicker. And by the way, great job by Brian Kelly and company icing Alex Herrera. Because I don't know if they showed it on the TV broadcast. I'm sure they did. He kicked it when they iced him, and he made it. And I told the guy next to me, you never kick it when they ice you. You never.
Did he miss the practice one?
No, I think he made the practice one. He made the practice one. Then he missed the one in game. Unless I'm mistaken. From my view, I thought he made it. From the crowd's reaction, I also thought he made it.
When I went back and rewatched it last night, I got through
I could be mistaken.
I got towards the end of the fourth quarter. I didn't see the end, that last field. I knew he missed it. I didn't have to watch that. I knew that was.
I could be mistaken.
Yeah, I think he missed the practice.
I thought he missed it.
Okay, so then he missed it twice.
So
anyways, you put it all on your kicker there, though. You could have moved the football a little bit closer. You didn't. You live with that. But also, guys, you're up 17-0 on your home field.
You get spotted.
LSU spotted you.
Wrong term.
LSU spotted you 17.
You're 17-0.
Guys, Carolina blocked the punt. I said, that's ball game.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe. I remember sitting there at halftime thinking, I can't believe this is a game. I cannot believe LSU's even in this game. South Carolina, it felt like at that moment should have been up 31-6. That game felt like a complete blowout, and somehow, some way, LSU just kept sticking around and sticking around and sticking around. And guys, we're spending so much time talking the South Carolina side. I want to stop and give a lot of credit to LSU.
I was going to say, we have to give some.
That place was an insane asylum. I mean, it really was. After that block punt, you couldn't hear yourself thinking there. for LSU to not just be down 17, but be down 17 in that environment and be able to keep punching back. Again, people want to blame refs. LSU made some big damn plays in that game. Some of those throws, Garrett Nussmeier was far from perfect, but some of those throws he made, some big catches that the LSU wide receivers were making. How about the freshman running back from LSU that I felt like I'm like, who is this guy that is just tearing it up? The Caleb Durham kid goes 11 for 98. Caleb Jackson had a couple big ones. Josh Williams, they were running physically. Mason Taylor had some big catches. I mean, again, Kyron Lacey with the get the gat. He was big in the – I mean, it was just – they made big play after big play after big play after big play, kept jabbing, and they found something. They found a hole in that South Carolina defense, and they just kept going to the well. And when it got to the fourth quarter, guys, I looked at my dad, and I said, Dad, I'm not saying I want to be right, but this is my gut feeling. You know what the difference between a program like LSU and South Carolina is in this spot? LSU's expecting to win this game. South Carolina's hoping they win. I was like, I don't know if it'll play out that way, but that's the difference. And it played out exactly that way. LSU knew they were going to win that game. South Carolina hoped they were going to win that game. And so, again, you can blame refs all you want, and I'm not saying the refs were great, but these people saying that, like, let's go to the officiating office. This game should be reversed, and this game was jobbed. This game was stolen. I'm like, bro, you are deflecting from all the other ways South Carolina shot themselves in the foot. Guys, LSU had inflicted wounds too, self-inflicted. They couldn't convert 4th and inches at the goal line. Inexplicably had a snap hit Garrett Nussmeier in the face. That was a fumble. They had as many blunders as South Carolina did, and they still found a way to win the game. So if you're a Gamecocks fan, there's positives to pull from this. You rush for 240 yards. Lenore Sellers is getting more and more comfortable in the offense. I think, guys, listen, if he plays in the second half, I don't doubt it's a different game.
Yeah,
it's a shame.
Sellers plays, they win.
It's a shame we didn't get to see him in the second half. But LSU had self-inflicted wounds too. And I think, again, for them, they are happy to get the win. Talking to LSU folks are like, man, we got a lot of stuff to clean up before you take on Ole Miss. Thankfully, you got 2 winnable games in front of you than the bye week. But the whole referee thing, I just wanted to go on record. The refs were not great. The personal foul on Nussmeier could have gone uncalled. The offensive pass interference was really shoddy. But it's not the reason you lost the football game. Period, point blank, end of story. Take some accountability and ownership for the mistakes your football team made. That's it. I'm done.
Yeah. No, I mean, across the board, I thought just kind of sloppy across the board, but you have to give credit to both teams for overcoming adversity. Hell, LSU dealt with it wasn't Hurricane Katrina, but it was a hurricane, tropical storm in the area that they had to worry about, they had to practice in. They kind of laid in the weeds, I felt like, all week. Really weren't talked about that much. Everything was – spotlight was on South Carolina, deservingly. You have College Game Day there. LSU gets in a whole 17-0. I think that's where you start, where LSU were very impressive to go stay in the game. Did South Carolina help them? Absolutely. I think if Lenore Sellers plays, we're probably talking something different. South Carolina's 3-0, 2-0 in conference play. I think that's very fair to say. From an LSU perspective, though, I think you take a lot from, hey, like, we feel like we can have our backs against the wall and come back and win in most of these games. Especially, we talked about it, me and Cole in the reaction show. You get your 2 biggest games at home still. You get Ole Miss and Alabama still got to go some road trips at Arkansas, at Texas A&M. It can be tricky.
And Dave, by the way, really quickly, the fact Blake Ruffino, our good buddy, pointed this out too. They dealt with a hurricane all week. Like, there was a lot of adversity this week to overcome that. Really big. I
think 2 things really can be true at once for LSU. The overcoming adversity in a must-win situation. We talked about it all week.
Yeah,
bro. If you would imagine if Lenore Sellers doesn't get hurt and it's just out the gates and they lose something like 34-10. Like, even if he just lost, Brian Kelly would have been trouble is the wrong word. They owe that man too much damn money to get fired here in the next 2 years because Scott Woodward likes to give out free money, tenure contracts to people. But I mean, the Blake Ruffino, Are You Serious Sports, Whiskey and Wine, those callers would not have been very happy. I mean, they're used to winning ugly games and complaining. I mean, they had Les Miles for 16 years, loved the man to death, but he would have given those people a ton of heart attacks. But I think LSU, the thing, they beat them. Garrett Nussmeier did not play well in the second half at all. I mean, honestly, should have had a pick in the end zone that they dropped that should have ended the game. Not even the pick 6 one. He had 2 called back due to penalties. Was not great. Snaps going at his chest, at his head. Now, granted, he was pretty animated. I don't know if you saw it, Chris, at the game. Garrett Nussmeier was pretty animated about that. Like, I think he was saying South Carolina was clapping.
I did notice on the field he was
pissed off like in the ref's face, like, hey man, like what the hell? That is so something was probably there. If I'm an LSU fan, you know what I'm taking though a little bit? Joe Sloan's got to get it figured out, man. Some of the offensive play calling, dude, Aaron Anderson's on fire. I don't really see Aaron Anderson a lot in the second half. It was for whatever reason, when LSU's top receiver gets going, they kind of just like disappear from him. And again, South Carolina, defensively, I think we can say it now. South Carolina is one of the best defensive lines in the SEC. I think we knew that. It was confirmed yesterday. But they're squeezing guys on the 3 techs and the 0 techs, and LSU's still running inside zone. Why would you not have to run more design stuff on the outside?
And when they did run on the outside, they popped it off. They popped it off.
But they kept running
wide
into
open.
The defense and the scheme. You could put us 3 in those techniques. It would be hard to run against just because of bodies and the gap scheme. And then he gets on the goal line, and you're just running.
How about the wing tee, by the way? How about the wing tee? I was like,
dude, on the goal line, the second down call killed. I didn't mind the 4th down. Give credit to Kennard there. He pushed the running back into Nussmeier, made the throw off target. Speaking of, Kennard just dominated. I know he had 2 bad plays, both penalties brought back. They probably, as good as he was, he probably cost him the game too. Where was our guy Dylan Stewart today? He didn't play a lot. The LSU was running at him. He can't hold up against the run. And to be fair to the kid, he's a true freshman. Yeah. Most can in the SEC. He's a DPR. He's a designated pass rusher right now. That's what he is. But when teams want to start to run at him, he's going to be a little bit of a liability. I mean, LSU, you got a ton to work on. But again, I think if you just told Brian Kelly and them, just get us a dub, they would take it. South Carolina, quickly before I let Cole go, like you said, Chris, the refs, that was impactful. Didn't lose you the game. If you told South Carolina fans and Shane Beamer you got spotted 17-0 in the crib, no, we'll take that any day of the week. You can take a few ref calls that went against us there. But again, the thing that killed South Carolina, guys, they can't convert on 3rd down in a vertical passing situation. Yeah. Teams are going to adjust to that until they can prove they can consistently stretch the field. I get it. The stats are a little skewed because Lenore Sellers went out. But again, 3 for 12 on 3rd down.
Even when he was in there, 3rd and long for them.
It's not going to win you football games. It's dead. Dude. You got to be better. And again, LSU, it's a team that South Carolina, give them credit on the ground. Very explosive. I still think, though, a little bit. LSU's that team. They could give up a 99-yard run if they had a team pinned back on their own 1. They're that bad misfitting gaps at times. And again, I don't think that's coaching. I think that's a little bit – I want to give Blake Baker and them credit a little bit. I like their scheme defensively and what they did from a generating negative plays, force some stuff. But again, just the fit in the runs. And me and Cole talked about it. Harold Perkins did not record any stats. Had a massive impact in this game, though. It was in Lenore Sellers, Robbie Ashford's back pocket. Overall, though, I don't want to keep going on. Cole, about to hand it off to you. Fun game to watch. This is what college football is about. This could arguably go down as the best game in the SEC this year. Sloppy on both sides. Both teams have some positives and negatives they can take away from. LSU needed it more. They got it. South Carolina just going to have to regroup, get ready for Akron, and then obviously play Ole Miss down the road. LSU, I think, has got a couple of weeks to get it figured out before the big showdown against LSU. It's against Ole Miss that I don't want to say that's a must-win, but if you're going to stay in the SEC race, I think you're going to have that one.
And handing it off to Cole, I'll let you go. That was probably the craziest football game I've ever witnessed in person. Just the madness it felt like every single drive. Just nuts.
All right, I'll be that person. South Carolina got robbed. You guys don't want to say it, I will. South Carolina got robbed.
I mean, I think we lost the game when they were down 7. You get 17-0, you don't blow that.
Let me finish. That one play. The rules state that if you throw and you make a football move, you are no longer a defenseless player. He made a football move. They got robbed. That one Nick Emanwari interception was a rob. That being said, that is not the way that games end. That is not the way that I can say you didn't have your shot. You were spotted 17 points to begin the game. Automatically. Done deal. You get a block punt. Beamer ball is alive and well. You set yourself up in great field position. All right. Have that happen for you. You lose your starting quarterback. This is where I will defend South Carolina more than anything else. I was ready to watch this team, about ready to take the pants off of LSU, bend them over, grab the paddle, sit there and smile and go, welcome to Beamer ball, and just all day. You don't play Lenore Sellers because if you take away his best asset, it's his running ability. It's his ability to make plays in the open field, to trust his legs, to allow him to be able to get separation and allow a receiver to break downfield. That didn't happen. And you couldn't have it happen. And basically every single time that you took him to the field, LSU fans and LSU's defense knew we have to keep him in the pocket. That's all we have to do, and we have to force him to throw. So you immediately go look to Robbie Ashford. Robbie Ashford gives you 5 good plays a game. 5. You have to capitalize on every single play. You have to. That's just the bottom line. I look back at the offensive pass interference call. I said yesterday, I have to go ahead and check it. I personally didn't see one. So again, ticky-tacky play where you look and you see where potentially you miss it, you miss it. Okay, you call it. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I agree with Chris, though, that the very thing that pissed me off more than anything else was the clock management on the final drive. You give him a touchdown. You allow Josh Williams to get in the end zone. You have time. You see as Rocket Sanders finally blasts off. You see as Rocket Sanders puts you in great field position. You get one of those connected plays. You have one more play to be able to get your kicker in better field goal range. And you don't go for it. You don't. So I want to sit here and say that one interception was a big deal. I'm sorry. Anybody out there that says that the Kyle Kennard horse collar tackle was not an interception, I'm sorry. You don't know what you're like. You could hear it in the post-game conference. Shane Beamer saying, yeah, we thought that he had grabbed him by the shoulder pad. Like even he knew that it was a horse collar tackle. He went back and saw it. He knew it was a horse collar tackle. The other one I got to give credit to. I have to. It just is. He made a football move. He becomes a defensive man at that point. You go ahead and hit him. Sorry, and I would stand on that if it was Lenore Sellers throwing a pick 6 and it was the other way to LSU. But LSU, when they needed moments to stand, they did. You look at the way they were able to slice and dice up the defense every time they got to the outside corner, especially with Durham. You felt really good. Aaron Anderson. I mean, he is not supposed to be anything for this team. He's supposed to be a number 4 receiver. He's stepping up and getting 4 critical first down catches for you. You also look at the big time play. The first one, the Kyron Lacy first catch, to me, okay, toe for toe, whatever, go ahead and call it. The second one, that's one where I have to disagree with the ref. I'm sorry. You see him bobbling it as he's going out of bounds. They shouldn't have counted that one. They shouldn't. But also, I think you're muted.
Apologies. Are you saying the one where he caught it and then took 2 steps out of bounds, went to the ground, the ball pops out?
Yes.
It's 100% a catch. 100%.
Then the other one isn't. But one of the 2 wasn't a catch.
Cole, y'all are talking about the same one you thought yesterday it wasn't. Chris, you're saying it.
We can disagree, but
it's the one, the almost NFL Dez Bryant type play.
It was the Dez Bryant type play, but again, in stadium, I could barely tell. But watching the replay, caught, took 3 steps, went to the ground, ball comes out. He caught that ball. That'd be a fumble in the field of play. That's a fumble. That's a catch. 100% that's a catch. We can agree to disagree, but it's a catch.
Regardless, I'm not sitting here and acting like that one interception by Nicky Manwari that was the pass interference. I mean, the hit against Nussmeier is the game deciding factor. It isn't. There were so many miscommunicated flaws. There were so many opportunities that you could have struck. You didn't. But I will say, if there is one serendipity that I can take in all of this, if I am a South Carolina fan, and they don't want to hear it, they don't want to hear optimism. You want to hear negativity, that you got cheated, that you got screwed, that you didn't win this football game, that the rest were against you. You were the one that was going to be the reason why this team sucked. All that. You can play toe-to-toe with anybody in the SEC. I think that's what you showed. I think that you showed that if you get out to a quick start, I think if you showed that you were able to play consistent defense. Lenore Sellers, you have a healthy version of him with this offense being able to open up creases, the explosive plays that you saw from Sellers, his ability to respond. I thought that the pick that he threw, the fumble that he had, and then immediately the first play afterwards comes back out, 75-yard touchdown. That's when you watch a quarterback grow up. That's when you watch a quarterback take that next step. You can go toe-to-toe with anybody. I'm looking at their schedule right now. There is not a game I don't feel confident that South Carolina can make this thing interesting. Alabama, I think they can make it interesting. Oklahoma in Norman, I think they can make that thing interesting. You already beat Kentucky. I think when you look against Ole Miss, they played not consistent football. It was good. They got a win and they were able to beat the spread, but there were moments where there was lulls. I think that you can put lulls against Jackson Dart. I think that you can beat Clemson. I had you beating Clemson at the start of the year. I think that you will beat Clemson at the end of the day. You can win those games. That's what I take away from this moment, is that there was a good overall atmosphere of where South Carolina has. I think you're fine. But I just don't trust the quarterback. I don't. I don't trust if Robbie Ashford is your guy. That's about it.
And Cole, to piggyback off that, to your point, I agree with you on the optimism. I think Lenora Sellers was maybe even a little bit better than I expected. And I don't say that saying that I was expecting to be bad, but like he's getting more and more and more comfortable. And I think that's something, if you're a South Carolina fan, you're looking for optimism. You're waking up, obviously, hungover from the loss here on this Sunday, is that, I think you've got your guy under center. And guys, I felt like early on, I was like, I kind of feel like South Carolina knows who they are. Like, they're finding this identity on offense. Like, maybe it's not flashy and they're going to score 40 a game, but like, they're very comfortable with who they are. They know who they are. They're going to run the football. They're going to make, set up easy throws to Lenora Sellers. Like when they have to ask him to make a throw, I thought the arm strength was there. He made some throws down the field, had the nice out route to Nick Harbor there that I was like, he can do it, right? And then Rocket Sanders has been an incredible addition. I think Oscar Attaway is a nice backup to him. Like Josh Simon's nice at the tight end spot. Like they've got pieces to be optimistic about.
They're going to have to stay ahead in games. I think South Carolina gets down 17-0, they'll get ran out of the stadium. Whoever.
For sure.
Ole Miss gets up on them 21-0 or something.
I don't think they can come back the way LSU came back.
Correct. They don't have the
Absolutely.
passing game.
I agree. But again, just wrapping this one up, guys, and putting a pin in it. Questionable calls by the referees in this game. No doubt.
100%.
The refs are not the reason you lost. I mean, guys, when you talk about referees, you talk about umpires in baseball, talk about refs in basketball. Guys, let's talk about the controllables. Any coach, anybody in life will tell you that. Worry about what you can control. You cannot control, and to a degree you can, but in 50-50 calls, like when you leave it in the hands of the ref or the umpire, whatever, those are things you really can't control. You know what you can control, guys? When LSU gets the football with 3:28 to go in the football game, if you get a stop, the game is over. That's it. If you get a stop, the game's over. Why aren't you looking at the defense? Why aren't you looking at Clayton White? Couldn't get a stop. Couldn't buy a stop in the second half. End of first half, end of game. If you make 2 field goals, you won the game. Why aren't you looking at that? There were self-inflicted wounds. There were controllables that both South Carolina and LSU, by the way, might I add, blundered away, right? We could be playing this hypothetical game all we want. Well, I mean, if LSU converts a 4th and inches at the goal line and, hey, if they don't fumble a snap, Garrett Nussmeier hits him in the face, maybe the game's not even close, right? But there are a lot of hypotheticals, what ifs, what have yous. I refuse. Blame the injury to Lenora Sellers. Blame the chicken curse. That's a better excuse, in my opinion, than waking up today and saying, it's all on the refs, all good, no biggie. The refs stole the game. Oh, we don't have enough time. The chicken curse, but the chicken curse is alive and well in Columbia. So
for me personally, it came down to Lenora Sellers being on the field in the second half. I'm sorry. That's what it is. 100%. I'm not going to sit here and go. I'm going to say that the pick 6 being called back was egregious at best, but I'm sorry. The Lenora Sellers pick, that was it. I mean, when Lenora Sellers left the game, they
lost all dynamic type of. They lost any dynamic nature.
You're already limited vertically,
right?
You bring in Robbie Ashford, like
you
Cole,
could tell through the staff. You could tell
the
staff had no trust in Robbie Ashford. I mean, guys, there was a 3rd and 7, and they called like a quarterback sweep thing, and you're like, they don't trust this guy to do anything. And I don't totally disagree because we knew what he was when they picked him up. So.
No, but again, I still see this team being one of the better versions that we have seen underneath the level of Shane Beamer. They're going to be in every game. I have no doubt about that. That's where I take it away.
And I think that's fair. As long as they respond to this adversity the right way and Lenora Sellers comes back healthy. I don't know that he plays against Akron, but starting the Ole Miss game, he comes back. I do agree with you, Cole. This team's dangerous. You got to bounce back the right way. All right. Guys, let's go to the game that took place in Madison, Wisconsin. Again, this is another one you guys broke down, recapped. I went back and watched the highlights this morning. It was Cole's best bet. It kind of went the way that we thought it could, where it was just Guys, it was varsity versus JV. It was from what I saw, it was two different levels of athletes on the field. Just bottom line.
Once Van Dyke went out, it was we just talked about South Carolina playing with their backup quarterback. Not many teams outside of probably Texas right now.
Yeah,
go win some games against solid teams with their backup quarterback.
Yeah, I thought Jalen Milroe showed his dynamic nature in the passing game and the running game. Ryan Williams is a freak. I mean, this dude, every time you see a highlight, they say he's 17 years old, should be in high school. It's kind of becoming that recurring thing, but it is true, right? It's just crazy how good he is. Jeremy Bernard, I think, continues to emerge in the offense. I loved what Jalen Milroe did in the running game, guys, 14 for 75 and 2 touchdowns. And again, it was just two different levels of athlete in this football game.
The end of the half put it away. I mean, dude, what I appreciate here, really, before we get into the offense, is Kalen DeBoer's aggressiveness. They got the football. You go back. I mean, you watch some of this live. You don't really realize the situations. You go back and watch it. When I was watching, I was like, they got the ball back with 35 seconds up 14-3 after the missed field goal for Wisconsin. Nick Saban, you can say what you want, greatest of all time. Nick Saban gets to half. He's not where Jalen's not turning the ball over. We get the ball to open the half. It's 14-3. Let's just take it in. Bama fans used to get irate about us, Bama not trying to again, I grew up an Alabama fan, so like when I said it, slipped up and said us there. So my dad's a season ticket holder. When Bama normally under Nick Saban, that's a halftime. We're getting halftime. Dude, they scored on 2 quick plays real quick and put the game away 21-3 at Camp Randall right for the half. Came out, again, middleweight. No one talks about the middleweight. Michael Lombardi, who does a show for VSiN, we talk about it all the time. If you win the middleweight, the last 4 minutes.
Momentum, baby. Momentum.
In the first 4 minutes of the second half, most teams, especially in the NFL, and it trickles down to college, you win the football game. Bama with 35 seconds. Within the last time Wisconsin could touch the ball, Wisconsin got the ball up down 14-3. The next time they touched the football, they were down 28-3 because Bama went and double dip. Give Kalen DeBoer and them the compliment of being aggressive there, going for the throat. You're right, Jalen Milroe in the rushing game. I think the difference this year with them offensively, again, they're still kind of feast or famine. Like they're not going to go do the 12-play drive. I think milk it. They're going to score from far. It's going to be ugly at times. But I think what they didn't do last year with Tommy Rees, they didn't really start incorporating an actual design run with Jalen Milroe until kind of towards the end of the year, really the SEC championship game against Georgia. This year, you see them incorporate him in the actual run game, which, to be careful, can he get through a season without getting hurt doing that? That'll be a concern. I say that about anybody who runs their quarterback a lot. But I thought, the interior of Bama's offensive line could be the best in the league. You got Brailsford, Booker, and Jaden Roberts. And Jaden Roberts was kind of the key cog last year, kind of got that offensive line finally rolling when they moved him to right guard. You mentioned Ryan Williams. I mean, Alabama may have the fastest, most athletic wide receiver group out there. I'm not going to say the best unit from top to bottom, most athletic from a speed standpoint.
Texas might have an argument, but I'll let you
Ryan Williams. I mean, dude, you got a ton of dudes out there that are legitimate athletes who can go make plays. I like the running back room. Defensively, I think they're going to be bend, don't break this year. You're going to see some frustrating things if you're an Alabama fan, like, damn, we're giving up 5 yards, 4 runs a carry. I think they're going to try to buckle down in the red zone. Again, injuries on that back end. They had some plays they could have got yesterday. They had some plays where there were guys running free that if that's Nico, that's shit. If that's Garrett Nussmeier, people probably make that play. So they're going to have to shore that up. But again, I think some of that's not the defensive staff's fault. They inherited 6 scholarship corners. You know how many of those guys are true freshmen? 3. You start getting banged up, just like everybody in the back end, you have some issues. But overall, very impressive win for Alabama. They got to feel good rolling into the bye week before they get Georgia at home. So handle business, like Cole said. I mean, I took Bama minus 7.5 in the first half. Cole was it 6? I think that final set at 16.5. Yeah, once Bama went up 21-3, it was over.
Good call, Cole. Good call.
Sorry. I know there's going to be people out there that say Tyler Van Dyke leaves the game, the momentum shifts. No, it didn't. That was going to be the same score whether Tyler
the game was closer if they. I mean, it's like 42-17, 42-20 if he's in it. Let's
I don't even think it's that. I still think it's the exact same score.
You don't think Wisconsin scores another point or puts up another single yard?
No, I don't. Because of what if he throws a pick?
They don't put up another single yard if Tyler.
No. What if he throws a pick and instead now it's a pick 6 and now instead it's 49-17? Like again.
I would say most teams are better with their starting quarterback.
The over was going to hit.
The bottom line, he thinks they cover. They were
always going to cover.
Oh, yeah, they cover, but I wouldn't say that they put up another pointers, too.
Damn it, Dave, you're splitting hairs.
You're literally splitting hairs. And the reason why is because you look at Alabama, they took the fight to Camp Randall. That's what it was. Go back last week and see how a Big Ten team was talking about being in their country, their backyard, their ability to slow down an SEC squad. Tyler Coggins, shut up. Anyways, I had to just throw that out there. He's pissed me off. You look at where Texas was last week. Texas went into Michigan and decided to be the bully. Alabama went into Camp Randall and decided to be the bully. Jeremy Bernard afterwards said immediately, "Oh yeah, we heard jump around. Yeah, we want to knock that shit off. Like it was bully. It was childish. We didn't care. They were 100%. The run game looks awesome, and that's because of the offensive line. They also get to see the wide receivers be able to kind of step up. Hey, by the way, did you know that Ryan Williams is 17 years old? That's become the new. And Clayton Kershaw played high school football with Matthew Stafford. It's like the exact.
It's become the new Jake.
Right on that. If you ever watch a Dodgers or a Lions game,
hey, we know that Matthew Stafford played football.
It's become the Jake Bentley should still be in high school bit.
The Jake Fromm was a Little League World Series star. It's at that level now at this point. Defensively, Dave, I think is right. It's going to be a lot of bend, don't break. But for me personally, what I look at is that this is the version of Alabama that you don't want to play on a Saturday. And you saw that last week against South Florida in those last 5 minutes. That version of Alabama football not only is sustainable, but that's the version of Alabama football that is not going to miss a beat. It just feels like right now that you went out, you got a coach that is going to be a little bit more aggressive. You maybe recasted your leading character, but you know what the good news is? You got a dude that you believe in and people are buying stock into. And then again, put full throttle in Camp Randall, make this game magical, make this game yours to control. And they did all of that. And if that's the version of Alabama that we're going to get, where you get a 5-touchdown day from Jalen Milroe, you get over 275 passing yards. The run game looks efficient. It's not just that you went up to a Big Ten school and took the fight to them. The thing is that there was never a fight after a certain number of quarters. After a few drives, you realize, okay, we're going to let them spar with us a little bit because we don't want to tire ourselves out. But then when we feel like that we need to end this round, we're going to deliver a few crushing blows. It was clear, technical, sound football from Alabama. And that's the version of Alabama that can still be a contender in the SEC when they go travel to play against Tennessee and Neyland, when they have to go take on a team like Georgia in 2 weeks, when they have to go play against Auburn, who, again, we know the Iron Bowl, it has never really been close in Bryant-Denny Stadium, but it is a new era. Kalen DeBoer, we don't know what we're going to see from this guy, from him in this matchup. It's his first Iron Bowl. Mistakes are bound to happen. You go play Oklahoma on the road. You take the fight to them, you're going to be able to walk away with multi-double-digit point victories, and also you're going to feel like a team that is going to go to the college football playoff. There are teams out there, and Dave knows this, Chris knows this, that will get the benefit of the doubt, not because of recency bias, but because of that big old logo. The branding is important in a college football playoff, and if you're sitting at 10-2, you may not feel that way. If you're saying Ole Miss, or if you're South Carolina, or if you are Missouri, you're going to get the pass if you're Alabama. That script day is going to carry far too much weight to keep you out of the postseason. It is.
And to your point, Cole, Alabama, who's looked impressive through 3 weeks, certainly did yesterday. They get a bye week, and then the Georgia Bulldogs will come to Tuscaloosa for
off this week.
For Kalen DeBoer's SEC opener. That one is going to be electric in about 2 weeks or so. Guys, no to Georgia. Let's go to the game that took place in Lexington. Georgia survives 13-12. The final score. Dogs were a 24-point favorite in this game. And Dave and I were laughing, making the joke. College football is week to week. I mean, this is why we love it. You never know what you're going to get. The moment you think you know, you get surprised. In Kentucky, a week after looking completely inept against South Carolina, I mean, they nearly pull off the shocker, guys. You know, watching this game and looking at the stats and everything, and I think some folks will, I saw a lot of takes, and maybe they'll come true that, Georgia shouldn't be number one in the new AP poll. Texas should slide there. Georgia should move back. That's totally fine, whatever. Doesn't Georgia have one of these games every year? It seems like they have one of these games. Last year I think was Auburn on the road. That was a little bit of a different scenario going on the road. 2 years ago, 2 or 3, Missouri.
Chris, I got the list pulled up. I was going to.
Yeah. Kirby pointed that out in post game that it's just. I almost think he likes it a little bit. Like he likes it.
Chris, to your point, he would love if someone dropped them, Pat. It's like number 2 or 3.
Yeah, well, I think, too, he loves his team getting pushed a little bit. And he took accountability in post-game. Like, our guys, when you go on the road in the SEC, it's difficult. He was very complimentary of Kentucky. He said, our guys, I don't think he said that they didn't take it serious. I mean, maybe they didn't take it serious enough of what the challenge was going to be. Maybe too much press clippings were read or felt too good or said, man, we're a 24-point favorite. No big deal. Give Kentucky a lot of credit. I mean, 9 of 16 on third down. Just 114 passing yards. But, I mean, taking 170 rushing yards, by the way, in this game for Kentucky. Taking Georgia down to the wire, but the Dogs pulled out, guys. Thoughts on this one? I mean, again, it's a week-to-week game. I was surprised the game was as close as it was. But, again, then I think to myself, like, Georgia has one of these games every year. So I'm not pushing the panic button on the Dogs, but certainly they've got things to figure out in the bye week for the Alabama game in 2 weeks.
Yeah, typically we've talked about it all heading up to this week. This game's traditionally pretty ugly. Hell, I think back in 2019 when Fromm was there, it was 0-0 to start the fourth. And
very physical. It's always
physical. They kind of get through the game fast. That Kirby doesn't want injuries. This felt a little different, though. This wasn't like your typical – they played bad. I mean, they didn't generate – I got it right here in my notes from watching it. They only had 54 offensive plays, and they got whipped in the time of possession. I mean, didn't Kentucky come out in the second half with like a 6-minute drive? Like, Georgia really didn't have the ball that much. They didn't generate many explosive plays across the board. Tate Ratledge goes out. That would be a big loss for Georgia. I mean, Kirby said.
Dave, to your point really quickly, Kentucky won the TOP 35-24.
Yeah, I didn't know it right off the top of my head, but I figured you could watch the game and be like, Georgia has no kind of sense of control of this game. If Tate Ratledge is out, that's going to hurt. I think he will probably be out against Bama. That's going to be tough to come back from in 2 weeks. You got an ankle and knee and to be carted off. And Georgia, to be fair, Georgia was down a little bit. I mean, Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins got banged up. We talk about Ratledge. Michael Williams is out. They have injuries on that team right now. But again, Kirby and them, you don't want a 13-12 win on the road against Kentucky the way they looked last week. But same point, give Kentucky credit. They got off the mat after last week, and they could have just sat there and got in the fetal position and got pounded. Defensively, they brought the energy. I mean, they brought it right to Georgia, dominated up front. Offensive game plan looked a little bit more comfortable. I mean, I think Brock Vandegrift is what he is, guys. I mean, me and Cole were talking in the reaction show yesterday. I think they're going to have to find someone other than Sumo Karmbe outside of depth. He mentioned Chirp Train on being back. I don't know the timeline on that. They would probably love to have him. Not probably. They would definitely love to have him back because they're running our boy Demi right into the ground here.
22 carries yesterday.
Oh, dude, a ton. But Kentucky kept him out of rhythm from a standpoint offensively. Carson Beck didn't play well. I don't think this is just two things can be true at once. Everybody, me and Cole talked about yesterday, outside of, y'all tell me another team, outside of really Tennessee, Ole Miss, and that's really it, right? Maybe Ohio State. Everybody else is Texas. Texas at some point this year. In the SEC, Texas, Tennessee, and Ole Miss are the only teams that you could literally go through their 3 games and be like, yeah, they were never in danger of losing a game. You could probably say that about anybody, 13 other teams in the league. But give Kentucky credit. I was impressed with them defensively. Still, I think Kentucky's going to be scrapping for their lives to get to 6. I do. I still just think offensively, consistently, I don't know if they can do it week to week. But again, they played better than I thought they would. Me and Cole talked about before we tossed it to Cole. I thought the last part was where you lost the game was. Why would you not go for the 4th and 8? Why punt? Why give it back to Georgia? You essentially ended the game there. I mean, you got the ball back, with 30 seconds and no timeouts? And I get it. Your field goal kicker is pretty good. All you need is a field goal. But still, what do you got to lose, dude? You're 1-1. No one expected you to be this close in the game. Go for it on 4th and 8. Give your best 3rd, 4th down in long play, man. Run a wheel route or something. Like, give your guy a chance. If you just punt back, you're damn near asking your defense to just get a 3 and out, boys. That's our only hope because we're going to use all our timeouts in the 2-minute warning. So if I was Kentucky, that would be the only thing. If I was a fan, I'd be a little disappointed with some Stoops not going for it there. Overall, Georgia, 2 things can be true at once. Very bad game. You're beat up. If you really ask Kirby Smart, he's probably sitting there like, it's probably our best case scenario outside. Obviously, we got to clean some things up. If we can get healthy here in 2 weeks, I'm going to have my team's attention when we're rolling into Tuscaloosa. So I think all things can be true. Everybody's struggling, it seems like, except 3 or 4 teams. You take it. It's a road SEC win. Not pretty. You still got a lot of things to work on, though.
Cole, before you go really quickly, just to point to, I forgot about Dave. I'm glad you brought it up. Outrageous decision to punt that ball away. Out freaking rageous. I mean, that just Kentucky fans should be irate over that decision. I'll give it to you, Cole.
All right, I'll just start there. That's the one where if I'm a Kentucky fan, I feel like that we have to have a serious conversation about change.
Yeah,
that's it. And don't get me wrong, I have to give credit where credit's due. Mark Stoops was able to get his defense, was able to get his offense on the ground to be able to make a statement that we're going to leave last week in the past. Sometimes you just have kryptonite. For me, it's like for IV. For Dave, it's garlic. For Chris, South Carolina fans that go make rumors about him. I mean, like, we all go through these things. Shane Beamer is just Mark Stoops' kryptonite. He got that team prepared. We also know that there's always a game that Georgia plays down to the competition and someone punches a little bit up. That's where you saw yesterday at Kroger Field. But when you have nothing to lose, you have nothing to lose. You win this game, cool, you're 2-1. You beat the number one team in the country for the first time in 4 decades. You're able to say either or, we're still probably not going to be ranked. And even still, maybe this will be enough to get us back on the right ropes of 9-3. But you have nothing to lose. And you tell your defense that has delivered all night, hey, go ahead and get us one more stop so we can get the ball back. Just so we can get the ball back. By the way, what happens if you convert? Like, does anybody want to talk about that part? If you convert, now you get 3 more plays. Now you get Georgia to call the timeouts. Now you get your field goal kicker in better range. Now it opens up the playbook. Now you get to decide how you want this thing to end. You get to control the line of scrimmage. And for me, Georgia, they found a way to win. They found a way to be able to figure things out. I have a ton of questions still with this offense. It doesn't look like, after the Clemson game, I figured, okay, Colby Young looks really good. You're seeing a lot more positivity with this wide receiver core, Dominic Lovett. The pick that wasn't, we're going to go back and forth on that one where did it hit the ground? Did it not hit the ground? Whatever you'll say, yeah, sure, so be it. What I look at is Georgia still found a way to win, but also Kentucky gave them a way to win. Because of when you're saying, nope, my defense has done its job, I'm going to trust it again, and not just go for broke, realizing that this could be a reason why you have fans flooding the field, and all the conversation about you last week goes way into the past. We're not even going to mention it anymore. Nope, don't worry about it. It happens to all the best of us, but we beat the number one team in the country. You get to get morale up to an all-time high. Go for broke. And instead you said, nah, you know what? I'm okay. I'm okay with however this pans out. I'm sorry. If I'm a Kentucky fan, I would sleep well last night, knowing that we lost that game, going for it on 4th and 8, and Brock Vandagriff was obliterated on a sack, then knowing that we punted, gave them the ball back, and said, our defense has to step up one more time when they've already done their job all damn night. I would sleep more sound knowing we lost that game as a Kentucky fan because if we were aggressive, then play pedestrian and allow Georgia to kind of show who they are as a team.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, Cole, honestly. I think a lot of Kentucky fans, I'd find it hard-pressed to believe they don't agree with you, and I think Dave also hammered it as well. You're 24-point underdogs. What do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? Nobody even expected you to be in this position. You trust your defense, but at the same time, it's Georgia. You don't think they're going to figure out a way to burn that clock and put you in a position where you can't get on the field and win the game. So I agree wholeheartedly. And it's such a shame, too, because, again, it's like at that point, the defense has done their job getting to you to that position. It's like you got to put it on your offense at that point to say, hey, it's y'all's turn to pick us up. Both sides have got to pick each other up. The offense simply didn't pick up the defense. And that's why you lose the game. So, Cole, you got to get out of here top of hour?
I got a few more minutes. I'm good.
All right.
I do want to talk about Billy.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about Mizzou first? Mizzou Boston College? Just touch on that one really quickly.
Yeah, we can go real
yeah,
fast.
We'll run through this one. Missouri gets the W. They outlast. Guys, it's crazy. I was in the stadium yesterday. I look at them. I'm like, oh, my goodness, 14-0.
Yeah.
Boston College and the boys were up. And there was a reason, guys, I was asked about this game leading into it. I felt good about Boston College at the plus 16.5 just because I felt like Castellanos, that quarterback, could just make it interesting, right? When you have a guy like that who's an improviser and a playmaker, and he's just a headache, right? It's not doubting Missouri in any way, but he's just a headache. And I thought Bill O'Brien did a great job bringing that team in there. They kind of know their identity and what they are. And obviously you saw late in the game some ill-advised throws, and credit to Missouri's defense for stepping up and making some big plays. Guys, the thing that jumps out to me watching the highlights of this game, and it's the most obvious take, but man, Luther Burden is such a pleasure to watch. Get the football in his hands as much as you possibly can. He can't be tackled. I mean, this dude can't be tackled. Like, he can't be covered.
He was a versatile kid they used. There was a play, I think in the third quarter, where they have a formation to the boundary, and they have him in the backfield and hit him on a wheel route.
Yeah.
They move. Give Kirby Moore and Drink credit. They move him around incredibly well.
To me, 50% of Luther Burden is better than, I would say, over 100 receivers in college football. 20% is better than probably 75 receivers in college football. Good receivers. That's what you got in number 3.
Yeah. Love what I saw, too, from the running game guys. Nate Noel goes 22 for 121. He looked fantastic. Marcus Carroll right behind him. Those guys rushed for 5.5 and 4.8 yards per carry, respectively. Brady Cook was solid. He was what they needed, I would suppose. 21 of 30 for 264, a touchdown. Did I see correctly that Luther Burden challenged him mid-game or something, or he
called him out?
He called him out. I think it was you that I saw that. I did not see that.
I think it was. I thought Brady called him out, but no, it was actually Luther who called him out.
Luther called out Brady to kind of step his shit up. Okay. But again, guys, I mean, listen, you're punched in the mouth. You're down 14-0. Good teams find a way to win these games. And, Missouri comes back, gets a big home dub. So, obviously Boston College with the cover. I think you give Bill O'Brien, his squad, a lot of credit. But
I think they'll get a bowl game. Me and Cole talked about it.
Yeah, they're solid. They're very solid.
In the ACC. I mean, to give Missouri, to give them some kind of, again, everybody has injuries. But I feel like this was kind of Missouri's first game that I think the first 2 weeks they held some guys out. This was the first game they all kind of came in. It was the first game they got to play together. So the cohesiveness. I mean, you saw some of it. I mean, there were a couple of snaps with Brady Cook. It was very similar to the Garrett Nussmeier.
A little sloppy. I did notice it was sloppy.
Penalties, a little sloppy. Yeah, but again, it was the first time they kind of had their whole group together. And again, it was a top 25 win, technically. I mean, it was a top 25 win against I think a Boston College team. It likes their identity. They're going to be in games because I think they kind of shorten the game. I know Missouri won the time of possession, but kind of shorten the game. Thomas Castellanos is going to make some mistakes. He had some 2 to 3 turnovers. But I think overall, the thing to clean up for Missouri, when they start playing better competition, and Boston College is better than any of us thought they were going to be when we saw this on the schedule. Brady Cook's going to have to take those. I don't want to call them layups, but it's like I keep saying, when Steve Kerr draws up the play in the corner for Seth Curry and he's wide open and you miss it, it hurts the sideline, hurts the bench a little bit. Like, damn, come on, dude. We drew that up for Luther Burden, and they utilize him. Lane Kiffin utilizes his guys extremely well. But I would say Kirby Moore, Eli Drinkwitz utilize you. Luther Burden's phenomenal. The way they utilize him ever since he's been there is, I love moving him inside, outside, in the backfield. That's just creative stuff, getting mismatches. But Brady Cook, you got to take those shots downfield, dude, and you got to hit them. They're going to be there against Alabama because Kirby Moore and Drink are good schemers. They're going to scheme up and have opportunities. You miss 2 or 3 of those on the road in Bryant-Denny Stadium, you may be looking like, damn, dude, we just lost by 3 to 6 points. We hit one of those, we win. That's where this game, it's not going to hurt you. Against Vanderbilt, it's probably not going to hurt you. You go to Kyle Field, it may hurt you. You go to Bryant-Denny Stadium, it may hurt you. Even at home against Oklahoma, it may hurt you. So that's where I clean it up again. I'm just going to chalk it up to, hey, first time they're all playing, some cohesiveness. You get a win, top 25 win at home. Just continue to build off it. You get Vanderbilt at home next week. I actually think Missouri bounces back and plays really well next week.
All right. I got to go. So I'm just going to make all these points really, really fast, real quickly. All right. Number 1, you played a C average game. If you were Missouri, you still found a way to win. That's not going to be sustainable when you play in the SEC, but you're okay with the C type of game. If you get a top 25 victory at home, you saw a lot of positivity at times with the overall defense. You were able to slow down a rushing attack that is headlined by a mobile quarterback. You feel like the explosive plays have got to be fixed in the back end, but give a lot of credit to Corey Batoon, 21 points in the first 3 weeks. You saw a little bit more life from this team that I thought you expected. The run game is really promising. Sometimes quality overtrumps quantity. You have both in Nate Noel and Marcus Carroll to replace Cody Schrader. Moving on real quickly. My God, Tennessee. I have not seen a damn thing from Nico Iamaleava. But Dylan Sampson, anybody who has said that this kid is not a lead running back, go ahead and turn in your SEC card. You have no idea what you're talking about. This kid was phenomenal. I get it. It was against Kent State. But also, please, for the love of all that is holy, what are we doing by saying running up the score and going for an onside kick in the first quarter when you're up by 40 points? What are you trying to do, Josh Heupel? It's just disrespectful.
I love the evil. He's like,
it is just so disrespectful, but I love the sadisticness. Real quickly, also, the offense looks a lot better with Marcel Reed than it does with Connor Wigman. That does not mean that Connor Wigman is not a good quarterback. I hear people saying that he's a mobile quarterback. Well, maybe he is, but the dual threat action that works for Marcel Reed fits Colin Klein's system more. You saw more cohesiveness. You saw more consistency. You saw more ability to work the middle of the field. There seemed to be a better connection with him and Cyrus Allen. The passing attack looked really potent at times. Maybe that's a testament to just Florida having an anemic defense. And finally, before I get on out of here, Florida, this is a moment where you realize very quickly, this is date number 6, and there is an expiration date. You hit the expiration date last night with Billy Napier. When you have fans booing Billy on the Megatron when he is just talking about not drinking and driving. And by the way, they're then guzzling down their beers because they realize this is the reality that we live in at this point. You know that the writing is on the wall. It is time. It may not happen today. It may happen next week. It may happen after the UCF game. I don't think he's going to be there when they play against Tennessee. There's no life for this team. It's a year 3 program, and you're still making mistakes that are fundamentally just over the top terrible. This should be something that should be correctable going into a year 3 program, and you don't have that. You don't. And at some point, you have to realize that we're Florida, damn it. We are Florida. It starts at the top and it ends all the way down with Billy. Scott Strickland does not need to be the athletic director anymore. And it doesn't help that on week 1, before you played one of the most mind-boggling second halves against a Miami team, you go out there and you say, oh, well, you know what? Billy's going to be here for a long time. Well, now the talk is all about that. Well, now the talk is all about that's the version of football that we're going to see in Florida. And you just said Billy's going to be here a long time. So both of you, please be shown the door. Don't let it hitch on the way out. Final thought. Florida fans, those of you that are watching this, those who are listening, stop settling. Stop with the settling. I'm tired of seeing the head coaching list of Alex Golish or John Summerall or GJ Kinney or any one of these things. Any one of them. Because I just can't buy in to you thinking that once again, you go for the up-and-comer at a program like Florida. You got to pull an LSU. You have to pull an LSU. You have to swing big. It's Florida. Your expectations are supposed to be playing for a college football playoff and an SEC title. Your expectations are to be right alongside Georgia, right alongside LSU, right alongside Alabama, right alongside Texas. That's what you have. So swing. If it ain't Lane Kiffin, it's Mike Gundy. If it's not Mike Gundy, go for Ryan Day. Go swing the big.
Eli Drinkowitz would get.
That's not good enough. That's not good enough.
I'm just telling you what it's going to be, Cole. That's not me.
But that's not good enough if you're Florida. Make them tell you no.
Gundy to me would be a little underwhelming if I'm in Florida.
Maybe it would, but at least I know that I'm going to get better results.
Kiffin, I think, is the one that would rally everybody.
But either way, make them tell you no. You have to swing big. I'm tired of seeing everyone else go off and put Alex Golish or this new up-and-comer. Like Fran Brown, I love the dude. I absolutely would give him the credit if credit was due. But I can't do it after 1 year at Syracuse, where we aren't even seeing a full Syracuse team just yet. So go swing big. Make them tell you no. And before I get on out of here, congratulations to Texas. You have a quarterback of the future. But let's go real quickly and talk about how this quarterback battle, now controversy, is going on. Congratulations to Arch Manning. You played really well. Quinn Ewers is the starting quarterback. Thanks for having this conversation. That's as much as we have to talk about it. Take care, guys.
See you, Cole. We're going to go a few more minutes. Appreciate you, my man. Dave. That was a lot from Cole there. All right, let's get into that Texas A&M Florida game. We'll start a little bit earlier next week, by the way. I told Cole that off the air, but we'll start a little bit earlier next week if we need to. We just, guys, when we get going, we get going. So, and obviously our friend Cole has to cover the NFL with the Houston Texans. So we appreciate Cole taking the time doing that. Dave, let's get into this. Texas A&M, you and I were both on the Aggies. We looked really, really smart because A&M goes into Gainesville, 33-20 win. On the A&M side, Marcel Reed, I think we talked about it, a really good fit in that Kirby Moore offense. Or excuse me, not Kirby Moore, the Colin Klein offense. I'm getting my offensive coordinators mixed up here. Really good fit in the Colin Klein offense. He goes 11 for 17, 178, 2 touchdowns. I thought he looked really good in this game. And the rushing attack, obviously, of A&M is what dominated, right? Marcel Reed, 13 carries, 83 yards. So he did a little bit of both on the ground, through the air. They rushed Dave for 310 yards. Dave, going back and watching the highlights of this game, though, you know what it reminded me of? I felt like the score was obviously different. I felt like I was watching the Miami game all over again. That to me is what it felt like. And maybe I'm wrong there, but just from watching the highlights, I was like, yeah, this is the Florida team I saw in week 1. Just
yeah.
the
Outside
defense
of, like,
was
Cam
anemic.
Ward, outside of Ward, Cam
Right.
Ward was much better than
Right.
Marcel
Just
Reed.
like the flow of the game, the
I mean, it got away from him early. I mean,
the game wasn't as close.
I don't know
The
if you were
game
watching
wasn't
the
as
game.
close as the finals.
No, I mean,
it wasn't as close.
It was about to be the end of the first half. I think Florida had 12 total plays offensively.
Yeah.
So you can blame them offensively a little bit. But to be fair, I mean, A&M had the football a ton. And again, I agree with that. I think Marcel Reed, if I'm A&M, I hate somebody losing a job off injury. I think, though, right now you still got to roll with that into a Bowling Green game. And to be fair, this is the same Bowling Green team you're playing next week that took Penn State to the wire. So it's nothing you can just roll the footballs out at. I think Marcel Reed gives them – again, I think there's some things you could scheme up him against. Again, and it's kind of more of a slight towards Florida's defensive staff. Like, I mean, how many zone reads are you just going to get gashed on without adjusting between Austin Armstrong and Ron Roberts? So that was a little disappointing if you're Florida. But again, I think you got to roll with Reed right now. I hate saying someone loses their job off an injury, but I think there's some things you can build on. Again, I think there's some things people can go take advantage of against Marcel Reed when they start playing better defenses. But I think right now he gives you the best spot. The A&M, the Maroon Goons, dude, they were leaning on people. Lavian Moss had a big game.
It was the matchup you and I talked about that we were so fearful in this game. That A&M front seven and that right
It's
side
the right
of that
side
offensive line.
They were stunting those dudes. Like, they couldn't pick up anything there. And again, Florida didn't have a bunch of plays because A&M controlled the line of scrimmage on the other side of the ball.
Hey, Dave, 37-46 to 22-14. That was the time of possession battle. Florida had the ball for just 22 minutes in this game.
Yeah, I mean, and it was such a weird game. It's almost like a game that just lingered. Like, it was pouring. A&M wasn't going to throw the football to risk a turnover, short field. I get it. Went to a rain delay. They come back out. It's raining. They go into halftime. They come out. It's sunny as hell. It looks like a totally different day. And then A&M kind of in the second half just kind of sits on it. And then you could see A&M people tweeting like, "Oh my God, they got the ball back driving with 5 minutes. They go score. They cut it to 6. They're gonna kick an onside kick and have a chance to go." But then they finally threw the ball. It was just a game you felt like A&M got the lead, and I agree with Elko and Colin Klein. Like, dude, as long as we don't turn this football over, we should win this. I mean, CP, you feel any different about A&M after this game?
Maybe a little bit better.
Yeah,
I mean, the way they went out, ran the football, pushed Florida around. I mean, I never felt like, Dave, that Texas A&M, I think they have great potential this season. I just think there's going to be some inconsistency, some ups and downs. Again, like I said, year one of a new head coach. I think there's going to be weeks where they look really, really good, and there's going to be some weeks where you're kind of scratching your head. So it's just, I think it's going to be a bit of a roller coaster ride, but top end Texas A&M is, they've got talent, right? They've got dudes, the front seven. We know about the defense. They're going to be really salty on the defensive side under Elko, and then offensively. I like the dynamic nature of Marcel Reed. I'm like Dave. I'm more scared of the A&M offense with Marcel Reed back there, if I'm being totally honest. Like, again, no slight against Connor Wigman. And like you said, you hate for a guy to lose his job to injury, but at minimum, let him get fully healthy. Like, don't rush him. There's no need to rush him back.
And as a coordinator, you're never going to call the perfect play call each time. So in today's game, I mean, I think
a guy like Marcel Reed can bail you out of
correct. He's more an elusive guy. Hey, if something breaks down, someone didn't get a check in the slide protection, and somebody comes through, he can make someone miss. You're right. He can get outside, maybe pick up that big play. I don't think Connor Wigman can do that.
I mean, dude, 13 carries for 83 yards. I mean, that's for
that's
Marcel Reed.
Like, again, I'm not saying Marcel Reed's like the perfect fix for. They still have issues offensively, especially in the vertical passing game. But I think he does give you stuff that you can build off of, and like you said, gives you that get out of jail free card. If I'm Colin Klein, if stuff breaks down, I feel a little bit more comfortable. He can go improvise better than Connor Wigman. I'm not totally. I mean, I think the big thing here, the story is, no matter what happens for Mike Elko in year one, whether he wins 6, 7, 8 games, I think today guaranteed yesterday guaranteed you're going to a bowl game. And you know what, CP, say they only go 7-5. You know what Mike Elko can say? He's got that notch on his belt. I ended that SEC losing streak. Yeah. And I think A&M fans would be like, you're right.
I loved the post-game comment where he said, "It's been 0 days since our last SEC road win." our last road win in general.
People give him the benefit of the doubt for that. Kind of like, you're right. Like, thank you for doing that. I think if you get 7 wins, that almost allows fans to we don't have to go through another season of 3 straight seasons of not winning a conference road game at Texas A&M. So I think that's big for him. I think this just essentially guarantees A&M gets to 6 now. You win this, you lose it. I mean, if you're a realistic A&M fan, I think they would have got to 6. I think you're just probably a little bit like, oh man, this could get off the rails here if like Wigman's hurt and Marcel Reed just wasn't a good answer. But he ended up being, but no, big win. I'm with you though. To answer my own question, that doesn't really change my opinion on A&M. Need to take care of Bowling Green. They got a big one the next week. That you'd feel really good if they got the one against Arkansas and Arlington, then they host Missouri. So maybe they could get on a little run here.
They could get on a run. Again, momentum is a fickle mistress in college football. To your point, any road win in the SEC, Dave, I never write off a road win in the SEC. It's a quality win no matter what the opponent is or where it is or what they're going through. And on that note, Dave, the Florida Gators. I mean, the writing's on the wall, man. It's over. I mean, it's we knew it was over after week one. We sat here and said, and I said, and you said, I don't see a path for Billy back. I don't see how he's able to come back from this. We came into the week of this game, Dave, and said, well, I mean, if there is a path back, it has to start with a good showing against Texas A&M and probably a win. And not only did you not win, you didn't have a good showing, Dave. And so many of the same issues, they reared their head again. You are what you are. At this point, man, Billy Napier's program is what it is. Florida, like this program is dead, Dave. The program is dead. They're booing Billy Napier coming off. They're literally chanting, Dave.
So Eugene Wilson liked an Instagram post today saying Billy Napier needed to be fired.
I did not see that. Wow. And then you got fans chanting in game, fire Billy Napier. I mean, it has gotten to a toxic level, Dave. And who knows? I mean, by the end of day, we may be going live again.
I saw they announced he has his 11:45 press conference tomorrow. So I think it's here. Okay. TP, you may not even want me to go, but I was just reading it for the people. I mean, again, I don't want to talk about. Again, we have football to talk about. I don't want to go into details who's the new coach or anything. But here's Billy Napier's contract buyout. Signed a 7-year, $51.8 million contract to become the head coach at Florida. This is what's left on Napier's contract. So overall, so he's owed this year $7,300,000 right there, February 1st, 2024. So essentially, if Florida were to fire Billy Napier, remember he's got 5 years left on his deal. They were to fire him without cause. They will be responsible for 85% of the total remaining annual compensation through the otherwise unexpired term without any mitigation obligations incurred by Napier or offset rights. The payments would be made as follows. 50% of it would have to be paid within 30 days of termination. That's pretty normal. I mean, Kevin Sumlin had something like that too. The remainder paid in installments at 12.5% over 4 years, with the first installment being made on July 15th following such termination and each July 15th afterwards. And here's it is officially. If Florida were to part ways with Billy Napier during or right after the season, they will owe him approximately $25.67 million. So essentially within the month, they're going to owe him, what, $12.5 million or anything to have it. I think they can make that happen.
Yeah, we're seeing rumors about the folks on the board of trustees and boosters are gathering together, trying to get that, get that $26 million, see if they can get that together. By the way, our good buddy Nick De La Torre over at Gators Online, good friend of mine, does a great job covering the Gators. He reported, Dave, yesterday or last night, if you will, there was a board of trustees meeting scheduled for today. Pat Forty coming out and saying, per source, this is at 8:18 a.m. Per source, report of a Florida board of trustees meeting being called for today is, quote, not true. Per second source, a full board of trustees meeting would require public notice on the website, and that hasn't happened. So either way, though, Dave, the bottom line is this. The days are numbered. His days are numbered. It goes without saying.
If you had to say, before we change topics, if you had to say a game that it's over, if you had to predict UCF?
With the way Florida's playing, Dave, yeah, UCF. I mean, listen, if they lose, that's it. That's absolutely it. But the thing that's interesting, Dave, you're not going to be able to hire a coach that you want to go get until probably the playoff is concluded, or the team that
what if that team and the main guy they're going to target, his team is expected to be in the playoffs?
Right. So, I mean, you're going to have an interim for quite a while. So it's
another good question. Who is the interim? I don't even know.
It's a fascinating dynamic down there in Gainesville. But I mean, Billy Napier, we're beating a dead horse if we really go into it. He's finished. He's done. There's no. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when down there. And it'll be a good move. It's a needed move. That program's dead. It needs new life. Billy Napier, you are what you are. See you later. So, Dave, let's look at the best of the rest. What stood out to you in the conference? My attention went directly to what Oklahoma did to Tulane, 34-19. I'll be damned if they didn't cover, Dave, and I took that damn plus 14.
Score wasn't as bad as it. I mean, it started off Oklahoma out of the gates. 21.
Yeah, they were up 21-6 at half.
Then Tulane has the ball in the fourth quarter with a chance to go take the lead, and then A&M coming in, and Oklahoma goes and pours it on them again. So it was kind of like back and forth.
I mean, the offense for Oklahoma still wasn't, like on the stat sheet, was not good. It was not great.
No, I mean, a lot of the offense for Oklahoma was Jackson Arnold picking up with his legs. And to be fair, they're missing a lot of guys.
Hey,
at wide
14
receiver.
for 97 and 2 scores for Jackson Arnold on the ground.
I mean, the only guy he's got right now due to injury from a receiver standpoint is Burks.
Yeah.
It's the only guy he goes to, and he goes to Bauer at the tight end spot. They need to get healthy.
Yeah, especially with Tennessee coming to town. So Oklahoma gets – I would call that a quality win, though. I know they were a 2-touchdown favorite, but that was one we were kind of like, And
it's a dangerous one.
To your point, Dave, Tulane, I think maybe we saw it. It's just hard to play back-to-back Power 4 competition. Kansas State, then Oklahoma kind of ran out of gas there. And, again, give the Sooners credit for protecting the home field and getting that 34-19 win. Now they set up College Game Days coming to Norman. First SEC contest in history. Obviously, we'll break that one down in depth this week. Our boy Diego Pavia. Damn, the legend of Diego Pavia. Too bad Cole's not here. Georgia State beats Vandy 36-32. I was wondering, Dave, when Vandy was going to turn back into Vandy. It's a shame. It's a shame that took place. But Georgia State gets the upset win there. You know, unfortunately, we're not going to get the 3-0 versus 3-0 matchup between Mizzou and Vandy and Como. Dave, let's stop dancing around it. Toledo. I mean,
wasn't even close.
41-17.
No, you go ahead. I'll say that for you.
I was just going to say 41. It was, I mean, to your point, it was 28-3 at halftime. And I think what we saw, Dave, again, we had my major question marks. I know the offense didn't do well, right? I mean, Blake Shapen threw for 319, but you only ran for 66 yards. You know the offense is going to be an exciting brand. They're going to pitch it all over the yard. It's Jeff Levy. But the defense, man. And Coleman Hutzler, first-time defensive coordinator. You had nobody coming back on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah, former game. Been all over the journeyman of the SEC. But the defense was the big question for me, Dave. You've got no answers on that side of the football. And, I mean, dude, I don't care, honestly, I'm not saying fire Jeff Levy or anything. And I picked Toledo to win, and that was sort of a shot in the dark, and how smart do I look today. But – losing 41-17,
not even
home field, and I don't give a damn what year it is. That's crazy. That's baffling to me. Baffling.
Well, dude, it's back-to-back weeks they've given up big plays on the ground. It's that 3-man front they just run. I mean, even the Scatterboot kid for Arizona State last week rushed for 275 by himself. Like, you're right. The defense was always the question going into this season. I think, and we said it. I hate to say this on this channel, but that was a bad defensive coordinator hire by Jeff. That was an agent hire by CAA. That was a Jeff Levy.
Guy's never been a DC before in this.
No, dude. He's coming over from Alabama. Will Anderson and Dallas Turner couldn't stand the guy. Like, again, and again, you don't always just take the player's opinion. It is what it is. But it's pretty bad if Will Anderson said he was getting worse his last year at Alabama. And look who the position coach was. This was a total CAA, which is Jimmy Sexton's agency, telling Jeff Levy, who they represent, hey, you want this Mississippi State job? You're going to hire one of our guys, too. He's a new defense coordinator. And again, they had a relationship prior at Ole Miss. Like you mentioned, he's been at Alabama, Hutzler, Ole Miss, South Carolina, down the road. This was a bad hire, dude. And again, I think some of these guys like Heupel, Levy, the Bryles tree guys, that offense doesn't like to see 3-man fronts. And I feel like they were just kind of like, this gives me trouble, so why not? It's like, well, I know you like to run the football based off the numbers in the box. Everybody else just going to run right at you, dude. Like, you're right. 2-10 is realistic now. I forget to me. You talked about it getting right on the show. 4 wins right now. I don't see 4 wins.
No,
they don't win a conference game. They sure as hell don't win.
Even with as bad as Florida is, I don't think you get that one.
I don't either. I'm not going to pick. Yeah, I'll say right now. You'd be crazy to pick Mississippi State to beat anybody who's got a pulse right now. Dude, if someone comes out and picks Mississippi State, I'm like you have insider information that Florida has essentially quit on Billy Napier and they're not traveling.
Yeah. Give me the info that you have and let me take
Here's a legit question for you, CP. So, and I was interrupting you while you were introducing the game, and that's on me. I think we can legitimately have this conversation. Who is worse, 2019 Arkansas and Chad Morris's last year, or this Mississippi State team? It's a legit conversation. This Mississippi State team's bad, especially
they're really that is a great conversation. I'd love to see those two teams, or maybe I'd hate to see those two teams play each other. But no, it's that is a good combo to have. This State team they're bad. They're really, really, really bad. Outside of that, Dave, kind of ho-hum for Texas, although the big thing, Arch Manning comes in. I just talked to my Texas guy this morning.
Strain for Quinn.
Yeah, Quinn, 2 to 3 weeks is what they're thinking. He's going to be fine.
They got time, though. Have you seen the
schedule? They've got La Monroe, Mississippi State, and then who's – and then okay. So, I mean,
Oklahoma and Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be totally fine. So, and I mean, again, not many teams are in this position, but when you have Arch Manning as your backup, I mean, he looked incredible, dude. He looks great. He had that was the longest touchdown run or longest run by a Texas quarterback since Vince Young. So he looks awesome. So really ho-hum performance for them. Ho-hum for 71-0. Keep betting on Tennessee to cover till they don't.
I tweeted it yesterday morning. I was looking at the refreshing the lines. I was like, dude, me and you previewed that game. I mean, Kent State lost to St. Francis College last week. Again, this isn't Nick Saban's Kent State.
But the fact Josh Heupel's onside kicking.
That was 49 stealing money. Dude, they were up 50 and up at half.
Dude, I mean, Ole Miss minus 23 or whatever it was stealing money. They won by 34.
Oh, another team we got to talk about. We're going to see them next week. Arkansas, kind of, a little iffy there against a bad UAB team again.
Do you feel like the Oklahoma State game, a little bit of a hangover?
Probably a little bit. I was talking to one of my buddies at Arkansas. He said it felt like in the locker room pregame, them coming out there was really just no juice. Like between them being, it almost like UAB being so bad, I think didn't help them in preparation. Kind of like, oh, well, we just lost, like you mentioned, CP, a game we feel like we should have beat Oklahoma State. Oh, and we got our first conference game next week against the team we think we can legitimately beat. By the way, here I just saw somebody tweeted it, CP. Auburn opens up as a 4.5-point favorite next week.
With Hank Brown under center. Hugh Freeze confirming. You confirmed it. He will be our leader going into next week. And, Dave,
CP, what's your feel in that game right now? As we stand early Sunday morning.
I don't want to spoil the surprise. You don't have to pick. Gut feeling. Auburn minus 4.5. That Jordan Hare. I mean, I like what I saw from Hank Brown. Gunslinger, man. 17 to 25, 235, 4 touchdowns. More of a gunslinger. They've got the receivers. I expect points, and I'd probably lean Auburn a little bit, the home favorite. I don't do this is one. I'm so glad. Again, I was about to say, for those that don't know, guys, we'll close out the show with this. I do want to get your thoughts, Dave, on Hank Brown really quickly, what you saw. But you and I, my friend, not just me, you and I are going to the Auburn and Arkansas game at Jordan Hare. I've never been to the Plains. I'm sure you have.
That's the second best game of the week, I think.
And are you saying that Oklahoma, Tennessee's the best?
Probably from a national plan.
But here's my prediction. I'll give you an early prediction. I think this ends up being a better game than that. I do. I think, Dave, I'm so happy we're going to this game. I think this has the potential, Dave. Is it the biggest game from the standpoint of, like, there's more storylines in Norman. There's no question. But this has the potential. This has the highest potential of that just drunk SEC game of, like, what the hell is going on there? Like that, like kind of like how LSU South Carolina was. Like, I think we have the potential to see that. I can't wait to get on the Plains. Hank Brown against Taylon Green. Both these teams feel like they desperately need it. It's going to be a blast. What'd you see from Hank Brown? Again, they've got the weapons. Jarquez Hunter was really good. We know what they have at wide receiver. Did Cam Coleman, did he not play in this game?
No.
He didn't play. He didn't play in the game.
He didn't dress out.
Yeah, he sat out in the game. Okay, cool. Hank Brown, though, 4 touchdown passes. I know it's New Mexico. I get it. But did you see some things that were encouraging? Did you see some things that excite you? I mean, obviously Hugh Freeze did. He, without hesitation, was like, I need to see no more. He's our guy. He's our guy going to next week.
17 for 25, 235, 4 touchdowns, no interception. That's nice to see if you're an Auburn fan. The big donut 0 and the interception column after 4 last week against a bad New Mexico defense. Let's call it what it was. And it was a little sluggish at times, but I mean, again, let's don't act like they have Cam Newton sitting back there and we're waiting for them to take the leash off of him and him go and leash the Cam Newton things he did back in 2010. You just don't have 2 great quarterbacks, I think. And I think right now, Hank Brown gives you the best shot.
Yeah.
Does that change? Because, I mean, I will say this. Travis Williams, the defensive coordinator for Arkansas, former Auburn linebacker, he's going to have an edge to go scheme up his former alma mater. I think he feels some type of way a little bit about it. you'll see his probably best game plan. So that'll be in the back of my head as I'm trying to predict this game going this week. But I think Hank Brown, he made the simple throws. Yeah, he had one or two that I saw that were one hopping. So does Peyton Thorne each week. I mean, we're comparing two pretty average to below average quarterbacks here in Peyton Thorne and Hank Brown. I don't blame Hugh Freeze, though. I mean, what did Hank Brown do to not get the start next week?
You would be crazy to be like, well, we need to see another week of practice. Like, no, Hank Brown played well. Like that was, what did we say, Dave? That was his audition for the job. He auditioned well. He auditioned well. Don't overthink.
I still don't think Auburn. I still think Auburn's going to struggle a little bit offensively.
He's not great, but he's better than Peyton. He's got to be better than Peyton Thorne.
You got to roll into the conference. You got to roll into your first conference game against Arkansas.
And you can always go back to Peyton Thorne, but you got to give this a try. You got to see this out.
Yeah, I mean the loser of this game is essentially affect their hopes and aspirations of the season that they all individually set are probably over. I mean, you start 1-2, 0-1, you still got the rest of the league, especially for Auburn. You need to win this game if you're trying to get to 8, which I don't think they're an 8-win team anymore. I really don't.
You worry about? I saw a lot of people. This game was 17-13 at half. A lot of complaints about the defense. Defense looks slow. Does that concern you at all?
I think the defense a little bit with as many distractions there are in the world now. I mean, I think they played well last week against Cal. This was going to be a game. They probably were a little checked out before the conference game. I don't blame DJ Durkin and them. Again, I think the only thing you would take is just, if you're going back to watch this game, just watch Hank Brown and them.
Yeah.
Hank Brown and the Auburn offense. I think that's where you're going to go take what you can get. I think the defense is probably pretty simple. Again, I'm fired. I'm with you. I'm glad we're going to this game too. I'm fired up. It has a lot of implications, not playoff implications, because these two teams aren't playoff teams. But I think nationally on ESPN, stuff like that, all college football really wants to talk about is the playoffs. But I think from an SEC, how these teams step up from a momentum standpoint, this is, like you said, this game has a chance to be that drunk SEC game of the weekend, but also has implications for Sam Pittman's job, Hugh Freeze, the momentum he can build. There's the losing team. It's going to be very similar to the loser of that South Carolina-Kentucky game last week. The loser is going to feel really bad leaving this game.
So, Auburn folks, we are coming to the Plains. Dave Shumate and I, Dave, cannot freaking wait to take it all in with you. And going to be a fascinating game. So, that'll close the book, Dave, on week 3. Again, what a week it was. We continue to learn a lot about these teams as we get closer and closer to fully being into conference play and everybody playing conference games, and certainly will transition into that this coming week, into week 4. Dave, appreciate you taking the time, my man. Appreciate Cole as well. I know he had to jump off, but really, really good stuff, man. There was so much to discuss, so much to dive into. And Dave, again, I appreciate you. I love doing these on these Sunday mornings, recapping everything. And guys, make sure you stick around, man. We're going to be previewing all these games upcoming in week 4 as we do every single week. You already know the drill. Guys, again, thank you so much. Over 800 of you tuned in live here on this Sunday. We cannot say thank you enough. And again, really excited yet again. We'll announce it later today via graphic, but we are heading to Auburn, Arkansas on the Plains next weekend. Cannot freaking wait. And again, as I sit here in Columbia, I want to say thank you to all the great Gamecocks and LSU Tigers that made the experience over the weekend a fantastic one. Had a blast coming back to the city of Columbia, Williams-Brice Stadium. That's going to be one of the best environments we see all season long. So, again, guys, appreciate you all so much. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get those. And make sure you're following along and checking out our website, secunfiltered.com, as well, for all the latest from us. Again, he's Dave Shumate. I'm Chris Phillips. And by the way, he was Cole Thompson. We appreciate Cole as well. Thank you all so much. Have a good one. Yes, Kohler Bear. Have a good one. Appreciate y'all. Have a great rest of your Sunday, and we will talk to you all on the other side.